find out who the funders of the Zambia University College of Technology in Ndola district are. And in the B part of the question, the Member of Parliament wants to find out whether the government has any plans to start funding the institution. And in the C part of the question, he wants to find out when the government will operationalize the institution to full capacity in order to provide for the digitalization agenda and capacity building for public service workers. And so those are just some of the questions that are expected to be considered on the floor of the House.
And thereafter, we do expect a motion to be moved. That's a private member's motion today, being a Wednesday, by Bahati Member of Parliament, Mr. Chiwombwe, titled Formulate Policy to Regulate the Operations of Dam Sites. So he'll move a motion urging that in order to protect the environment and underground water from pollution, this House urges the government to formulate policy to regulate dam sites.
Thereafter, we expect a resumption of debate on a motion of supply, a motion of 29 September 2023, a motion that was moved by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024, together with the annual borrowing plan presented to the National Assembly in September 2022. And at the time business was interrupted yesterday, it was a Pemba Member of Parliament, Mr. Lamek Hamwata, who was debating to this motion. And so that is just the business that is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today, Wednesday, 11th October 2023. Anytime from now, we'll be seeing Madam Speaker's procession making its way to the chamber.
And just now, we excite you to some pictures that are coming live from the chamber as members of Parliament await Madam Speaker's procession to make its way to the chamber.
Yes, Taza, and also just to make a mention that you can follow the live proceedings on our Facebook page, which is the National Assembly of Zambia, and also we are streaming live on YouTube, which is the National Assembly of Zambia.
And just in case you would like to get the order paper, you can go to www.parliament.gov.zm. But just now, we take you to the floor of the chamber as Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker's procession makes its way to the chamber.
Honorable Members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Tendency of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for the right. We want freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by God's good hand. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun. Oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Remain we stand under the flag of
prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor as your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessings descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Order, honorable members. I've got 3 announcements to make. Honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils as well as teachers from 2 schools, namely Matero Girls Secondary School in Lusaka District and Kafue Boys Secondary School in Kafue District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you. You may be seated. The second announcement. I wish to inform the House that in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order number 165.5, I have made the following change to the composition of the Committee on Energy, Water Development and Tourism. Mr. Davis Chisopa MP has been appointed to replace Ambassador Robert Kalim MP. I thank you. The last announcement. Honorable members, I wish to inform the House about the fact already gladly known that the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association awarded the Speaker of the National Assembly, Right Honorable Nelly B.K. Muti MP, FAPRA, as the Commonwealth Parliamentarian of the year 2023. The Honorable Speaker emerged winner of the award following a 4-stage nomination and selection process involving 8 other strong nominations from across the Commonwealth. The selection committee emphasized a number of qualities, including the Honorable Speaker's contribution to upholding the rule of law, her commitment to transparency in parliamentary processes, and her dedication to ensuring the citizens of Zambia have quick and easy access to parliamentary information. The Honorable Speaker received the award on 5th October 2023 at the conclusion of the 66th Commonwealth Parliamentary Association General Assembly in Accra, Ghana. Honorable members, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, and indeed on my own behalf, I wish to congratulate the Honorable Madam Speaker for this achievement. I thank you. We make progress. Matters of urgent public importance, I can see 4, Chama North, Petauke Central, Mpika, and Kantanshi. In that order, the Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My matter of urgent public importance is directed to the Minister of Energy.
You may proceed, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in 2021, the Republic of Zambia issued a statutory instrument number 35 of 2021, which empowered the local contractors, transporters to transport petroleum products. Madam Speaker, unfortunately, this particular law has been disregarded with impunity by oil marketing companies, as 90% of the fuel which is being imported is being transported by foreign transporters. Madam Speaker, this has caused massive job losses among the Zambian transporters. They have laid off most of their workers, and they have packed actually their trucks because Zambia has opted to contract foreign transporters. Madam Speaker, I seek your indulgence in this matter because the Minister of Energy wrote a circular on 5th May 2023 instructing these oil marketing companies to abide by the law, but this has been disregarded with impunity. I therefore seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Vice Chairman.
Thank you so much for that urgent matter of public importance. Is the Minister ready to make a comment now or later? The Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I can only comment that we need to get proof from the Honourable Member of Parliament that there's massive job losses and people have lost business. Then we can come and issue a ministerial statement to the House at an appropriate time, I submit.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. You can come back to this House on Thursday next week just to attend to this matter of urgent public importance. The Honourable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to raise the matter of urgent public importance, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, before I go on, the good people of Petauke, they have asked me on my preamble to mention that standing order number 135 should be considered on their challenges. Madam Speaker, the matter is directed to the Minister of Health. Madam Speaker, in my constituency, more than 100 people, Madam Speaker, as we are talking now, right in Petauke, people, their heads are swollen. They are swollen. Their heads are swollen, Madam Speaker, because they don't have food to eat, so they were cooking mangoes and eating. As a result, the following day, all of them, their heads are swollen, Madam Speaker. Yeah. I'm in charge.
Order, Honourable Members.
Yeah.
Order.
Madam Speaker, as a member of Parliament, I can't sit here seeing that here, that's where we are making laws, Madam Speaker, and seeing my people there. Njala yawavimbisha mitu, Madam Speaker. Chifukwa chakulya mango, Madam Speaker. So, I'm asking the Minister of Health so that she can come to the constituents and see what medicine these people, they can be given. I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Order, honorable member. This matter actually is very difficult to understand because we don't know whether there is proof for that and whether it's just one family or two families. The honorable member for Petauke, please find another avenue that can help that family in Petauke. Because we don't know whether it's hunger or it's poison that they consumed. So please find another avenue to help that family in Petauke. It does not qualify under matters of urgent public importance. In fact, to further help the honorable member for Petauke Central, because every day he has got an issue, it's better that maybe one day you just find time to list down all the issues so that you can identify the ones that need urgent attention in form of urgent question. And then those that are not urgent, you can use the oral answer, oral questions under 74. It will be very easy for you to do that. We make progress. The honorable member from Pika. All the honorable members.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to raise a matter of urgent public importance, directed at the Minister of Tourism. Madam Speaker.
Can we have order?
Madam Speaker, Nawara Chiefdom lies in South Luangwa National Park. What that means is that we have a lot of animals there. And Madam Speaker, just in the past 2 weeks, we have lost more than 5 people at the hands of wild animals, particularly elephants. And what shocks the people is that the Department of National Parks and Wildlife, they only act when animals kill a person. Even when villagers report to them that we have seen stray animals, they would not respond. They would wait for one person to be killed for them to respond. Madam Speaker, as if my people suffering from insala is not enough, now they are being killed by wild animals. My understanding is that wild animals exist for our benefits as people. Now, why should animals become very important than human life? Madam Speaker, I seek your indulgence. The Ministry of Tourism must put in measures to ensure that the Scouts officers protect the people from this human-animal conflict. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
This matter has been coming over and over. Even last week, the minister was asked to make a comment on the floor of the House. We have another incident in Pika. I don't know whether the minister can comment again on the incidents in Pika. Honorable Minister for Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that grave concern from Honorable Member of Parliament from Pika. I do sympathize with the people of Pika constituency, and indeed, like you rightly put it, Madam Speaker, just last week, I was on the floor of the House explaining to the House some of the immediate measures that we put in place to ensuring that these matters of human-wildlife conflict are kept to the barest minimum. I did make mention on the floor of this House, Madam Speaker, that just the other week we deployed a team in Livingstone, which obviously is scoring success, and that is a particular team that we're going to deploy in sensitive areas And obviously, we did talk about Shama North and South the last time I was on the floor of the House. And if you could allow me, Madam Speaker, to include Pika constituency that we're going to pilot. And just this morning, Madam Speaker, I had a very lengthy and very interactive meeting with our honorary wildlife police officers who are dotted from across all the 10 provinces. They were in my office this morning. And all I requested them is to show relevance as to how best we're going to manage and mitigate, over and above the issues of, as the Honorable Member of Parliament suggested, employing scouts. We are engaging our well-wishers out there, volunteers, in the name of Honorary Wildlife Police Officers to assist us in combating the adverse effect of human-wildlife conflicts. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. I'm going to allow just three supplementary questions because this topic was discussed at length even last week. The Honorable Member for Chitambo.
Madam Speaker, I'm grateful. Madam Speaker, I do recall when we had a challenge with medicines in hospitals and clinics. You did set up a committee which went round and brought the House a report. The caucus on environment wrote to your office, Madam Speaker, requesting that there should be an ad hoc committee that should be formulated among its members of parliament so that they could go around and gather information as to really what is obtaining. Minister, are you in a position to solicit for funds since the matter was turned down due to financial challenges that we have as an institution? Are you able to find money so that members of parliament can go around and help you to find what challenges are there? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that follow-up question. Madam Speaker, it is indeed a very welcome proposal to actually get to ask well-wishers to finance that particular benchmarking initiative. However, Madam Speaker, I may just need to request that the caucus on conservation, obviously, which is by your members of parliament, to do officially write to my ministry, of which we'll be able to use that particular proposal to solicit for funds from our partners. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Pika, you have no supplementary question? The Honorable Member for Mukushi South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And the Honorable Minister, this issue of human-animal conflicts looks like it's now getting out of hand. Can you tell us categorically, Madam Speaker, what really is the problem? Why are we failing to control the human-animal conflicts? I submit, Madam.
The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that follow-up question. I do recall vividly, Madam Speaker, that the biggest challenge that is causing, or rather the biggest cause of human-wildlife conflict, as it were, is human-wildlife conflict itself. However, we should also recognize that our population is growing. The demand for space, land, is equally growing. The animals themselves are populating because of some of our initiatives that we put in place to grow our population of animals. And we're really struggling to find a balance as to how both humans and wildlife can coexist. But we are engaging the various communities through the various chiefdoms to educate our people, to be able to live in harmony with this wildlife. From time immemorial, Madam Speaker, you will agree with me that even before some of our time, a lot of people used to live very, very well. And I'm sure, Honorable, there, where he was born, in that village, his ancestors were living in harmony with these animals. We're just surprised as to how today we seem to be in conflict. And again, Madam Speaker, I must make mention that we take human life first than animal life, as opposed to what some of our members of parliament in here may have insinuated. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, this matter has been indeed a thorny issue, and it has been at the center of debate, and I totally agree with the proposal from the Honorable MP for Chitambo. However, the biggest problem is that your officers who are responsible for managing the wildlife respond quick. They quickly respond to instances where even a stray animal which goes into people's villages and cause havoc is killed. But they take too much time to respond to instances where human beings are the ones who are victims. And this has been a very big challenge to all of us who are near the GMS. Is there something you are doing in order to make these officers appreciate that human beings are feeling lesser important than animals? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that follow-up question. I think, again, due to the many times that I've risen to make a ministerial statement and obviously answer questions, one of the issues that was raised was in connection with what Honorable Member of Parliament has just alluded to, the response time. And I did make mention that that is more administrative than anything, and officers in that vein have been guided accordingly to making sure that any report that we may get, whether it's human-wildlife conflict, whether it's poaching or otherwise, should be notified and attended to urgently. However, Madam Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to notify the House that my ministry is actually in the process of acquiring a toll-free short code that will allow each and every report which we are going to get from the various GMAs to be responded to in earnest. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. I'll take the last member, the Honorable Member for Kafue.
Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Speaker, when I was almost withdrawing, because I had also wanted to say that indeed this challenge has been there, and Kafue, with our Lower Zambezi, we are equally facing these challenges. And I would still have loved the Minister to state in very clear terms what really they are doing to prevent the loss of human lives in this struggle, because they say they are still struggling to strike the balance, of how to preserve the animals as well as human life. I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Member of Parliament for Kafue for that follow-up question. We are doing everything humanly possible to deal with these matters. And I think what is more important, and some of the issues that we're trying to work on as a ministry, and indeed as a department, is to see how we can create a balance like you've just mentioned. And this particular balance, Madam Speaker, is obviously by way of us getting into resident and bona fide hunting. Just now, Madam Speaker, a number of your members here will be enjoying hunting. They've won hunts. So some of these animals are complaining about will be harvested, which I think is a good thing. Over and above that, Madam Speaker, my team in the Department of Parks and Wildlife is already on the ground, especially in these densely populated areas such as one in Kafue, which is very, very close to a national park, and many other areas, Madam Speaker, that have raised concern. So we will be working tirelessly with you, with your members, Madam Speaker, and we are hoping that sooner rather than later, this ecological balance we're talking about will be achieved. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much. I apologize to the honorable members that wanted to ask questions. I think we have got a lot of work before us. We can make progress. Questions for oral answer, understanding order number 76. The honorable member for Kamfinsa.
Madam Speaker, the privilege to ask question number 89. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Kangombe, Member of Parliament for Kamfisa, is asking the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation the following question. A, whether government is aware that there has been a critical shortage of water supply in the following areas in Kamfisa Parliamentary Constituency: 1, Ndeke Changa Changa, and 2, Ndeke Village. B, if so, what measures are being taken to restore water supply and avert an outbreak of waterborne diseases? Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. A, government is aware that there has been a critical shortage of water supply in Ndeke Changa Changa and in Ndeke Village areas of Kamfisa Parliamentary Constituency. B, Madam Speaker, the following measures are being undertaken to address the water shortages to prevent waterborne diseases. 1, 2 new rotating elements procured from Europe for pumps 6 and 7 were delivered in September 2023. Further, a stopgap measure, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, a new impeller was cast in the month of May 2023 by Non-Ferrous Metal, Zambia Limited of Ndola, for pump number 6, and the pump has been commissioned and is now operational. 2, the Ndeke Water Distribution Center that had been earmarked for expansion with additional storage capacity will be constructed under the Nkana Water Supply and Sanitation Project Phase 2, starting in June 2024 to November 2025. Number 3, the new stainless steel impellers for backwash pumps have been procured and delivered from Europe and will be installed by end of October 2023. In addition, Madam Speaker, the following immediate measures have been put in place. 1, 3 water bowsers have been made available to areas with low supply hours to supply water and avert the risk of waterborne diseases. And 2, a submersible pump to boost the supply to Ndeke Distribution Center was installed on 7th October 2023, which will contribute to improving water supply to Ndeke area. Already some areas in Ndeke village, such as Ndeke H, that had no supply, have started receiving some water. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Before I take supplementary questions, there is an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Pambashe, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my point of order is on the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. Madam Speaker, last week on Friday, according to 65, that information we relate in this house must be factual and verifiable. That constituencies like Pambashi has not received CDF because we have not submitted the returns for 2022. So, Madam Speaker, Pambashi submitted the returns to the Minister of Law Government in August this year, indicating a total usage for 2022. Up to this time, Pambashi has not been funded for 2023. The local authority went on and advertised after the minister approved the projects for Pambashi constituents. But they could not procure because their account has not been credited. It's therefore the Minister for Local Government in order, sitting quietly there without informing me and the people of Pambashi why we have not been funded for 2023. I seek your serious ruling, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. According to the standing orders, this incident happened last week. It cannot be admitted today. Instead, you can come up with a written complaint to the Office of the Speaker. Or you can interact with the Minister. We make progress. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Constituency.
Madam Speaker, I first of all want to thank my dear colleague, Minister of Water, for obviously coming to this August House with a response on the very, very important issues that I raised regarding the issue of water. Madam Speaker, this is not the first time that these issues have been brought to the attention of the Minister. And I'm sure from the response provided by the Minister, the indication is that there's this pump that needs to be repaired, there's this issue that needs to be attended to. Madam Speaker, that is what has raised concerns with our people in the constituency. And as I stand here, Madam Speaker, the supply hours that have been referred to are not the correct supply hours at the moment. Our people are getting water for 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes at the most. My follow-up question. Minister, given the fact that you are familiar with the problems of Ndeke village, and the fact that you and I have been engaging on so many occasions to try and find a solution, when can we go to the constituency so that you go and get the correct picture rather than the report that you have presented today that supply has improved to our community? So that maybe we can go there, try and engage the people, and maybe some of the solutions that you are proposing could be understood by the public. Because clearly, Madam Speaker, our people are tired of hearing the same story.
The question is straightforward, and I'm sure the Honorable Minister has gotten the question. Let's give him a chance to respond. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank my brother, Honorable Kangombe, for that additional question. First of all, Madam Speaker, I want to admit that we have been engaging each other for a while around the challenges in his constituency. And at some point, I undertook a tour to go and address some of the challenges there. And I issued instructions to Nkana Water to attend to some of the challenges. And then we have these other challenges because challenges keep on coming up, and that is expected considering that most of the infrastructure, the water and sanitation infrastructure is quite old, and such problems are expected, but I want to assure the Member of Parliament that I will make some efforts to not only go to his constituency, but also to attend to some of the problems around Copperbelt, and I'll be able to indicate to him when I'll undertake that tour. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nkana.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. I hope that the minister today does not remind me that I was DC, because he equally was a deputy mayor for Lusaka at some
Honorable
point.
member, please go straight to your question.
And he did not manage to finish problems when he was deputy mayor.
Honorable
so this
member,
is a relay.
please go straight to the question.
My question, Madam Speaker, the Honorable Minister of Water, you are aware, Honorable Minister, that the ongoing project now, which has been, downscoped from the $200 million to $59 million, will not help resolve this problem in Kitwe. And the problem is that we are going to be coming every day, Madam Speaker. From this question, tomorrow I'm coming with my question, because the people of Mindolo, you are aware, have not had water for the last 4 or 5 months. And it's expensive to buy water today. Now, my question, you've mentioned about water bowsers. We've reminded you before that there's only one water bowser in Kitwe, which has to give people in Mindolo, Ndeke, Chimwemwe. Are you now on the floor of this house telling us that there are 3 water bowsers? In which case, those 3 water bowsers, are they sufficient to attend to Chimwemwe, Ndeke, and Mindolo? Or we should be doing something in the immediate term, like buying pumps? Because the distribution center in Chimwemwe has run out of the pumps. There's only one pump that is functioning. Why can't we take that as a matter of urgency, procure pumps so that we can boost up supply at Chimwemwe DC as well as in Indek? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Let's be cautious. Let's not expand the question to touch other constituencies. This one is constituency-based for Kamfisa Parliamentary Constituency. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the MP Fonkana, former DC for Kitwe. But also, I need to remind him that I was not only deputy mayor of Lusaka, I was a councillor for 5 years, I was deputy mayor, and I was mayor of Lusaka. And now a minister. But also what I don't do, Madam Speaker, is to blame Mayor Chitangala for the problems that are in Lusaka. What I do is to support that lady to make sure that she succeeds, because I take note that I played my part and there are other challenges. So I expect the former DC to also support the government. Madam Speaker, it's true that the ongoing Kana water supply and sanitation project will not resolve all the problems in Kitwe, because understandably so, Madam Speaker, the population keeps on growing and the challenges keep on increasing. So the project, the current ongoing project, will only attend to the challenges up to a certain point, and this is why we have to keep on putting up other interventions to ensure that we address other emerging challenges as regards to water supply and sanitation. But this is why this government, Madam Speaker, has continuously increased the CDF to now 3.6 million kwacha, and also to ensure that members of parliament, like the member of parliament from Ghana, must prioritize issues of water and sanitation under CDF. All these are initiatives. I'm seated next to the Minister of Local Government, who is more than willing to sign, even now, if you proposed what you want to procure to assist the CUs. Madam Speaker, we are also, as a ministry, trying to assist. We are trying to assist. Madam Speaker, we are trying to assist those members of parliament who've been making proposals to work with our CUs to ensure that our commercial utilities assist them in the various constituencies. So, Madam Speaker, there are several interventions that beyond...
Honorable Minister, there is an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Lumezi, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I'm extremely grateful for permitting the voice of Lumezi to raise on a point of order pursuant to Standing Order 65. Madam Speaker, the information we bring on the floor of this House must be factual, verifiable. And the practices of this House, Madam Speaker, have been that we are asked to declare interest. The Honorable Minister of Water and Sanitation is responding to a question based on water, knowing very well that in Munali constituency, the only place people are drawing water from are from his nightclub, which has no title. Madam Speaker, I'm being factual. We can move the House to verify this information.
Honorable member, order. You can take your seat, honorable member. Order, honorable member. Honorable member for Lumezi. The honorable minister is responding to question number 89. We are not talking about issues for Munali. We are talking about the issue that is pertaining in Kafisa, and you are bringing an issue that is happening in Munali. So I don't know, honorable member, if you can find another avenue to bring that issue to the floor of the House. Because the way we are looking at it now, that issue seems to be misplaced. It cannot come under Kafisa. The question is for Kafisa and not for Munali and not about the minister. Bring that issue in another manner to the floor of the House. It will be attended to. Because this question, honorable member, it's straightforward. It's for the honorable member for Kamfinsa who is complaining about a problem in his constituency. You want to proceed over the same?
Madam Speaker, how I wish would allow us to exhaust our submissions. Being factual, Madam Speaker, is he should propose solutions that are working at his nightclub in Kamfinsa. That's being
Honorable
factual.
member,
And not telling the Zambian
honorable
people.
member, I think we can make progress. I have ruled. We are listening. The honorable minister is responding, representing his ministry, not as an individual, and the issues that you are talking about. So that point of order, honorable member, is not admissible. Find another avenue. We make progress. What were we doing? Who was on the floor? The Honorable Minister of Water, Development and Sanitation. Yes.
Madam Speaker, I'd finished answering the other question. I was waiting for the next one.
Okay, thank you. The Honorable Member for Lunte, you have another point of order?
Yes, Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Madam Speaker, my point of order is on both the Honorable Minister of Water and the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. Madam Speaker, Standing Order 65 is the basis for my point of order. It is very clear that approval for projects under CDF has moved from the Minister of Local Government to the province. Madam Speaker, why is the executive continuously politicking about CDF? Here is the budget which the minister produced. Budget speech is, the minister is clear. He will be paying 2.8 billion community projects for 2023 in 2024. It's clear here. So even if my honorable colleague took a proposal to the minister and the minister signs, where is the money going to come from? Madam Speaker, I think it is important for the executive to stop politicking about CDF because CDF right now is non-functional. I seek your serious ruling, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable member, I think the best way you should have approached that issue, we've just started admitting supplementary questions. And also, I don't know how the Honorable Minister for Local Government comes in, because the minister who is responding is the Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. So I'm going to allow you to ask a question since the Honorable Minister touched on CDF. I think that's the way we should go instead of raising a point of order, because we are dealing with that question and the Honorable Minister is getting supplementary questions. So, the Honorable Member for Rubasenshi, you come after the Member for Rubasenshi.
Thank you.
We have to make progress. We have to make progress, Honorable Member. It's not time for points of order. Let's just allow the Minister to answer a few questions. We'll get back to you. The Honorable Member for Rubasenshi, please.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given to the people of Resumption Constituency to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Water and Sanitation. The issue of water in the Constituency constituency is really real and it's quite pressing. And the people really need solutions, Madam Speaker, as you may be aware that water indeed is life. Now, it's quite disappointing that we have Kafue River, which passes along the houses within Constituency constituency, and we are still talking about lack of water in Kitwe, in particular Constituency constituency. To go straight to the point, Honorable Minister, we expect the government to come up with the solutions. This issue of water shortages, especially in most of the towns, including Constituency constituency, has been perpetual, and nothing much is coming out as a solution. Now, my question to you is, Honorable Minister, could you confirm to this Honorable House what is the practical solution to keep this problem of water in Constituency constituency so that we can able now to assure the people of Constituency that this issue will be no longer there? I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank my brother, Honorable Chewe, for that supplementary question. Madam Speaker, first of all, I want to allay his position that we are not providing solutions. Madam Speaker, to the contrary, we are providing solutions. Madam Speaker, when we took over and this ministry was created, we found the projects that are restored for many years. One of them on the Copper Belt, the Kafulafuta Dam. We have gone ahead to finance that project using government finances. As we speak, we are moving towards completing that project by end of December, and by January we'll be doing our testing, and then the people on the Copper Belt in Rwansha, Masaiti, Mpongwe, and Ndola will be receiving clean water. So when he says we are not providing solution, I don't know what he's talking about. Madam Speaker, I'll give another example. We had a project in Chinsali, very small project costing 51 million kwacha, total cost of the project. That project was started around 2013. It had stalled for a long time without finishing, just a project costing 51 million kwacha. For those who are saying they have more solutions than ourselves, We moved in, financed that project, commissioned it. These are the solutions that we are talking about. We have gone further. Kaputa, we found the Kaputa project, which had stalled for a long time. We moved in, pushed in money, commissioned the project. As we speak, the people are receiving clean water. We are going further, Madam Speaker, to finance the Nkana Water Supply and Sanitation Phase 2 project, again to address the challenges that the honorable members are raising in Kitwe and the surrounding areas. These are solutions that we are providing. But what we've also avoided, Madam Speaker, is to continue using these projects to borrow money, huge sums, and then allow the projects to stall. Then questions begin to come in. Where was the money going? But prudently, we've said we will not borrow. We cancelled what was not disbursed for most of these projects I've talked about, and we're using GRZ, government resources, to finish off these projects. Now, further beyond this, because we realize that, one, the population keeps on growing, the challenges keeps on coming up, we must mobilize more resources, Madam Speaker, to ensure that the investment gap in the water and sanitation sector, which is to the tune of $5.75 billion up to 2030, we close in this gap. These are the resources that we need by 2030 to ensure that there is a maximum improvement in the supply of water and the provision of sanitation services to all our citizens by 2030. So solutions are being provided, so it's not true that we are not providing solutions, and we are listening attentively when you ask questions that are non-political, and I appreciate. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I'll take the last three. The Honorable Member for Kanfinsa, Mwandi, and Lunte, in that order.
Madam Speaker, first of all, I take note of the comment regarding the option of using the Constituency Development Fund. I want to put it on record once again that, Madam Speaker, our size of problem cannot be resolved through the funding that is available. We have taken steps to allocate part of the funds, and currently there are some administrative challenges which we have faced, Madam Speaker, to use part of the CDF for the Kamfinsa problem. Now, my last follow-up question. Minister, you sit in cabinet where government picks priorities, which projects to start, follow. I take note that we've not been able to provide resources for the Nkana Water Phase 2 to the level that it's supposed to be funded. Are you facing any challenge to convince the Ministry of Finance to make resources available to this particular project that is supposed to address the challenges of Kamfinsa constituency as well as Kitwe? Are you having any challenges just to get the Ministry of Finance to give you the resources? Because, Minister, without resources, we know you can't do so much. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister
Amtike, you are
of
not the Minister of Water.
Order.
South Africa.
Order, Honorable Member for Kamfinsa. Order. Can we have order? If there are differences, please, you can sort them outside. No, Honorable Member, please, for the sake of the viewers out there who are watching, can we be orderly? The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I take note and totally agree that the magnitude of the challenges we face. Madam Speaker, I hope they are listening.
The Honorable Minister for Northwestern. Is it Northwestern? The Honorable Minister for Northwestern. Please, let's give room for the Minister to respond. These are very important questions. The people are waiting anxiously to hear from the Minister. Let's give him room. The Honorable Minister of Water and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was saying that I totally acknowledge and appreciate the fact that the magnitude of the challenges we have cannot be resolved or by CDF. But obviously, we must also in there appreciate the fact that West still, these challenges could not be attended to by only providing 1.6 million kwacha per year. So our colleagues must take note that the increment in CDF will actually go a long way in addressing most of these challenges, but not really to resolve all the challenges. Madam Speaker, it must also be in answering your question whether I'm having problems in convincing the Minister of Finance to release the money. First of all, the Minister of Finance and His Excellency the President and the Vice President who is in our midst here, all of us and Cabinet are very passionate around issues to do with water and sanitation. And therefore, I'm not facing any problems in convincing the Minister of Finance to assist us with the Nkana Water Supply and Sanitation project, Phase 2 project. But suffice to say that our colleagues, where you belong yourself, left us a huge problem of debt, and we need to strike a balance. We need to strike a balance, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we need to strike a balance in ensuring that we manage the debt, we concentrate in managing the debt, but as we manage the debt, we also build on resources to finish off these projects. So the Minister and myself are not having problems really to push in money there, but it's the issue of the resource envelope. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member, before you come in, the Honorable Member for Petauke Central, you had a point of order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to raise the point of order. Under 65, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when we stand here, when we start issuing statement and answering the ministers, it's a policy, Madam Speaker. And the Minister of Water informed the Minister of, or the Member of Parliament, from Ghana and Kamfinsa to say they should use CDF in those other projects. Now is the Minister in order, who is also a Member of Parliament. He's failing to use his CDF in Munali, but is encouraging the Member of Parliament from Ghana and Kamfinsa to start using CDF. Why can't he read as an example first to sort out the problems of water in Munali, and plus on top of that, he's also a minister for that particular ministry. I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Order, Honorable Member. I think that issue is almost similar to what the Honorable Member for Rumezi was trying to bring. And in fact, I didn't allow the Honorable Member for Lunte to talk about the CDF issue. I said he's going to raise a question over the same. And Honorable Member for Petauke, this is not a comparison where you are comparing constituencies. This is a question that was brought to the House by the Honorable Member for Kamfinsa. He is representing the people in his constituency. So the Honorable Minister of Water and Sanitation has to respond in line with that question that was brought to the floor of the House by the Honorable Member for Kamfinsa. So let's not start comparing constituencies here. We are looking at specific constituencies. So, Honorable Member, your point of order is not admitted. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for your directive for me to ask a question on CDF to the Minister of Water. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Water knows very well that the Finance Minister has got no money to pay CDF this year. This is why he has put that as an outstanding figure in 2024 budget. The problem of water in my honorable colleague's constituency is happening now. The minister chooses to politic with the Minister of Local Government by saying, bring the proposal now, I sign.
So
Bring
what
now.
is the question?
My question is, why should the minister decide to politic when he knows very well that there is no CDF which will be disbursed this year? The whole money has been sent to 2024. The two of them have colluded to politic on the floor of the House. Why should that be the case, Madam Speaker?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Madam Speaker, I don't find any question to answer in what he has said because clearly he's the one who is politicking. Why should he speak on behalf of the Minister of Finance? I don't think the Minister of Finance has said that he has no money to disburse. So I find it, Madam Speaker, really not necessary to have that kind of discourse. But just to say that it is the position of government to encourage members of parliament, to encourage councillors, to encourage WDCs, to ensure that we prioritize issues of water and sanitation under CDF. And that is what we've been encouraging members of parliament. And this is what I was referring to, that should you find that you have challenges on certain issues to assist to procure certain components, you could think of making a proposal to use CDF. That's what I said. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, it's like now we are generating a lot of points of order. We've still got a motion to go through. And then there's also the debate on the budget speech. And we've still got a number of questions before us. We are just on the first one. Can we please be economical with the time so that we are able to cover what is on the order paper? Is that point of order necessary or is challenging what the minister has responded to? Pardon? The Honorable Member for Pambashi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Standing Order number 65 demands that we be factual, that collective responsibility of the executive. When the Minister of Finance brought this budget, he brought it on behalf of the executive. And we had hoped the Minister of Water was part of the executive to approve. On page number 32, Madam Speaker, the outstanding CDF community projects, 2.8 billion, carried forward to 2024. It is here, Madam Speaker. And I wonder, the minister was part of the cabinet and the executive would come and say, no, the Minister of Finance did not say that. When we have the book and we are trying to approve the budget for 2024, I seek your serious ruling. Is that Minister in order to disown the budget that was presented by the Minister of Finance on behalf of the executive? I seek your serious guidance, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much. I will reserve my ruling so that I get verbatim of what the minister had said and what you are trying to bring to the floor of the House. I'll come back with a ruling later. We make progress. The Honorable Member for Mwandi being the last one.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. The question in regards to the water situation in Kitwe district has come over and over and over on the floor of the House. I wanted to ask from the Honorable Minister of Water if it's possible, because Kitwe has 5 constituencies, I think I'm made to understand, and I think that most of these constituencies have had these challenges. Is it possible, because we're talking about emergency funds of 42 million kwacha. So my question is that, is it possible, did you say 42?
Okay, so what my question is that is it possible for them to have a joint venture in CDF, whether these different constituencies contribute to making sure that they can resolve the problem that they currently have? Because there are 5 of them. And then if they put those resources, it's possible for them to rectify the biggest problem that they've had, because they are saying that this is the biggest problem that the people of Kitwe have. So that was my question to you. Thank you. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague, Member of Parliament from Wandi, for that very progressive question. Madam Speaker, ours is, from the ministry point of view, ours is to encourage members of Parliament, I'll say this once again, to prioritize issues of water and sanitation under CDF. How that is done, as being proposed by the Member of Parliament for Mwandi, I think is for the members of Parliament under Kitwe District to see if they could come up and provide that intervention, but also to encourage them that they can work with our various CUs in their catchment areas. It will be easier to provide water. But I'm aware that they raised some challenges, and we are engaging the key stakeholders to unlock those challenges that you've had in working with our CUs. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 74. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Madam Speaker, the problem is not with the money, but it's actually with the people that are failing to utilize CDF. Question number 90.
The Honorable Minister of Defense. The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable Members.
The Honorable Member of Parliament for Kabwata Constituency asks the Minister of Defense the following question. A, why the construction of staff houses at Buffalo Park in Kabwata Parliamentary Constituency has stalled? And B, when the project will resume? Madam Speaker, the following is our answer. A, the construction of the staff houses at Buffalo Park in Kabwata constituency was stalled for some time, yes, because the project was one of those which government considered for termination following the debt restructuring program. However, the Ministry of Finance and National Planning guided that the project be rescoped to include completion of 816 housing units and other works. Consequently, the Ministry of Defense and the contractor, Jomei Engineering Group Limited, signed an addendum to complete the housing units. B, the Ministry of Finance and National Planning released part of the funds to commence the construction of the said houses. Following the release of funds on the 26th of May 2023, the contractor moved on site and construction has commenced or resumed. Since then, much progress has been done, and I would like to take this opportunity to encourage the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kabwata to visit the site, and I'm sure you'll be pleased with the progress that has been made. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Honorable Minister, if you look at the Buffalo Park, adjacent to it, there's a primary school, Hillview Primary School. And when that school was actually constructed, it was constructed without
any playgrounds or what you call recreation facility. I wanted to find out whether your ministry can actually take a lead to engage the Minister of Higher Education or Education to consider whether you can donate a piece of land so that our children who are at Hillview School can also benefit from the community engagement that the Minister of Defense is doing.
The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Well, not directly connected, but to the question, I would like to ask the Minister or the Minister of Education to engage us, and we might consider that, but it will be under discussion. It's neither yes nor a no. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Honorable Minister, I know the question that I'm asking actually relates to what is happening there. Yesterday, Zambia actually celebrated the Mental Health Day together with the rest of the world. Now, I wanted to find out whether the facilities that have been constructed at that Buffalo Park would actually include a department that will house mental department.
We are bringing other issues now to do with mental. The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Madam Speaker, the question is asking me to answer on the stored project. And I've answered that the stored project, after we rescoped and the funds have been released, which is the housing units and any other related construction that were planned there, will be done. I don't see how we bring in a mental clinic into this equation. I'm sorry, but it's off. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members, let's try to be focused to the question. Let's not bring other issues linking them up to the question on the floor. The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, with your revelation that resources are now available, would you be in a position to inform this August House the estimated completion date of the said project? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member, for that question. The construction is scheduled to finish in 6 months' time from today. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Bwanamkubo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think my question has been overtaken. I wanted to know the completion period. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. First of all, I wish to start by commending the Honorable Minister of Defense for reactivating that project, because indeed the need for decent accommodation for our men and women in the defense forces is really very cardinal. Honorable Minister, you have stated that the works have been rescoped. What does that entail? Do we see the reduced number of housing units, or what areas are we going to see the reduction of infrastructure? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member of Parliament, for that question. It's just auxiliary facilities that are attached to the main project, which is construction of the houses that we have rescoped, so that we are within the limited amount of money that is made available. It's nothing significant to entail the project not being as useful as it ought to have been. Just auxiliary elements of facilities have been deducted from the original plan. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Kasenengwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think my question has been overtaken by events.
Thank you. Finally, the Honorable Member for Lumezi.
Honorable Minister, I appreciate your responses, especially that I pay particular attention to detail. The word usage of the auxiliary. Honorable Minister, knowing very well that where we are seated, not where the project is seated, there is water crisis. Is water amongst the components of the areas that are affected? Because I know I came here, Madam Speaker, I couldn't bath, I had to swim at a swimming pool at home because there's no water. So when you talk of auxiliary, is water considered? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member, for that question, paying attention to detail. Fortunately, Honorable Member of Parliament, water is considered essential, and therefore it is not part and parcel of the auxiliary facilities that I'm talking about. Water will be provided. I thank you.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Fera the opportunity. Madam Speaker, question 91. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Tembo, Member of Parliament for Fera, is asking the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation the question, which is in two parts. A, whether government has any plans to extend the integrated small towns water supply and sanitation project to Luangwa district in order to ensure increased provision of piped water, and B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. A, government has no plans to extend the integrated small towns water supply and sanitation project to Luangwa district in order to improve water supply and sanitation service provision in the district. B, Madam Speaker, as alluded to under A above, government has no plans to extend the integrated small towns water supply and sanitation project to Luangwa district. However, government is currently assessing the cost of providing piped water, and this assessment is scheduled to be completed by 31st December 2023. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam, for the opportunity. Minister, I'm sure as you assess the need for piped water, you will realize that the people in Fera, experience the problem of actually, being subject to human-animal conflict because of lack of water. They resort to drawing water from the Luangwa River, which is infested by crocodiles. And just last month, we had 3 casualties and deaths in particular. So, are you able to assure the people of Luangwa that next year there will be a project starting concerning piped water? I know integrated water supply and sanitation, for instance, done in other places, it's about $18 million, and obviously CDF cannot cut off that. But what form, maybe as you answer that, what form of water supply, piped water supply, are you looking at? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank my brother, the MP for Fera, for that supplementary question. Madam Speaker, in terms of the assurance, I want to assure the Member of Parliament and through him, the community in Fera, or our people in Fera, that Government is working towards what I've mentioned, assessing the cost to see how we can improve the provision of water supply to the district. And this assessment will be done by close of December. And only then will I be able to assure the MP in terms of the time frame. For now, let's allow the assessment to be done. Thereafter, we can now speak to the issue of the time frame. In terms of the form of supply, what form of supply we shall take, that will be addressed by the assessment that is being done, and our engineers will advise. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Feira.
Yes, thank you. Minister, you know, if you have looked at the design of FERA, you only have a bomber experiencing, you know, piped water. And that's just about 10% of the whole district. The rest of it is boreholes. Now, are you also looking at increasing capacity of the water reticulation system at the bomber? You know, obviously, it was not designed to supply the whole district. I'm talking about increasing the capacity so that the whole district has an option. Anyway. Your comment, thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Member of Parliament for that question, but in that question also for that additional information, which I want to take and use so that as we do this assessment, we can have a holistic assessment for Luangwa and see how we can improve the capacity to supply the whole district. So that is well taken, but I just want to urge you that we continue reminding each other, engaging each other, so that we can see how we can tackle the issue of water supply for the whole district. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Lumezi.
Madam Speaker, I thank you most sincerely. Madam Speaker, for the very first time, I'll draw my authority from the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia, Article 76, to ask a question so that my freedoms are not infringed upon when asking this decent question.
If it's connected to the question on the floor, you may go ahead.
Madam Speaker, the issue of water is life and we cannot continue to ignore it. Madam Speaker, if I was permitted to move this house to go to his place and see how much water he has, and the people complaining in Kamfinsa, in Fera, Madam Speaker, the responses we are getting are not meeting the aspirations of the Zambian people. In his preamble of the response, the Honorable Minister says the government has no immediate plans, Madam Speaker. Those are his words. Honorable Minister, when you come here to give us answers that speak to the Zambian people that sent us here arrogantly, we shall ask you very tough questions. Honorable Minister.
What is your question, Honorable Member for Lumezi? Please go straight to your question. Order, Honorable Members, order. That is the problem when we go round and round. Can we be focused to the topic or to the question?
Honorable Minister, today alone, you've told the House and the Zambian people of no immediate plans. Honorable Minister, you've been given the mandate by the President of the Republic of Zambia to manage water affairs. And you come here.
What is the question?
That's where I'm going to, Madam Speaker.
Please go straight to the question.
Honorable Minister, Honorable Minister, are you not considering a resignation as Minister of Water and Sanitation when you say the government has no immediate plans? Because we're not here to joke. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Order. Now, this is the problem which we have. We have gone away from the question. However, I will leave it to the Honorable Minister to respond. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Madam Speaker, first of all, I take great exception to be abused in that manner. I'm a very polite person, and I ask the Member of Parliament that he must spare me from his several quarrels. I don't desire that I must be added to his fights. I'm a very sober character.
Indeed.
Madam Speaker, first of all, I have no intention now, and in future to be arrogant to anyone. I'm merely a servant of the people. But secondly, I also take great exception that we must be debating ourselves. I think the rules are very clear, and for him to be referring to my properties and all, I've never done that. I've not even referred to his past when he was beating police officers. I've never done that. So for him to turn that and turn me to be an arrogant person, I think that is uncalled for. As regards to the issue of considering to resign from what? When, Madam Speaker, we are providing solutions to the many questions, and like you've guided, is completely drifted from the question in which the people of Ufera in Ruangwa are seeking solutions. And I think I've ably answered the sober questions from the MP from Fera. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. We make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 92.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Simzingiri, Gwembe constituents, to ask the Minister of Education, A, who the funders of the Zambia University College of Technology in Ndola district are, B, whether the government has any plans to start funding the institution, and C, when the government will operationalize the institution to full capacity in order to provide for the digitalization agenda and capacity building for public service workers. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, the funders of the Zambia University College of Technology in Ndola district is the government of the Republic of Zambia. B, due to the response in Part A, Part B falls off. And C, the government has operationalized the University College as a public higher learning institution by formally establishing statutory instrument number 39 of 2022 in accordance with the Higher Education Amendment Act of 2021. By operationalization of the law, the University College sits under the Ministry of Education. Following this development, the Ministry is in the process of realigning its budget line from Smart Zambia to Head 80 under the Ministry of Education. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you so much, Minister of Education. Honorable Minister of Education, it is a notorious fact that this college has suffered in terms of movement from one ministry to the other. At one point, Minister of Education, another point, Technology and Science, another point under Teveta. I'm so excited, Minister, that now this college will be under the Minister of Education. Honorable Minister, is there any funding line for this university college in 2024 budget?
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Yeah, funding still sitting on Smart Zambia. And this is why I was saying that following this development, the ministry is in the process of realigning its budget line from Smart Zambia to Head 80 under the Ministry of Education.
Minister of Education, you have confirmed that this very, very strategic institution will now be under your ministry. Are you considering in the foreseeable future to extend students' loans to this very, very important institution of higher learning? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Yes, we will consider in the near future. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Lukasha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We actually spoke about those answers somewhere this morning. Honorable Minister, I just wanted to find out, this university is a university college. Is it attached to any existing university now for purposes of grading, or it's just a standalone university? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Yes, it stand out and it will have its own council.
The Honorable Member for Luwasenshi.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister for Education, for the responses that you have provided. My question is to find out if we still have university colleges such as the one in Ndola that was in that kind of dilemma. Are you able to update us that there are so many in terms of numbers, and they have also put it into the consideration the way we have put it, the one in Ndola? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Off cuff, I can't, I think. Thank you.
Pardon? I don't know. Did you want the Honorable Member to repeat the question? Or you've answered? Okay, maybe you may repeat, Honorable Minister. We didn't get the answer, Honorable Minister.
I was saying that off cuff, I can't. Yeah.
The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, through you to the Minister. Minister, looking at the importance of that college, I know maybe a few of our members here may not understand how important and equipped that college is. Do you consider, or is it possible that some of us who come from rural areas, because it is difficult today to sponsor a kid from a constituency like Nyimba into a college like that one, because I'll be told that you just have to do TAVET courses. Now, if you look at that, we're talking about science and technology. I think that's technology, should I say, much of it is technology. Is it possible that we can also, you and the Minister of Local Government, sit down and agree or give a go-ahead to us to sponsor our kids using the bursary component we have in our CDF, because it's difficult for our local people to get, to get your higher education sponsorship. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a very good suggestion. I will engage my colleague here. Thank you.
Yeah. Order, honorable members. We make progress. Order. Notice of motion. The honorable member for Bahati.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, by leave of this House, I wish to defer the motion to a later date. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Leave has been granted. The clerk will now read the order of the day.
Supply motion of 29th September 2023, resumption of debate.
Order. When business was interrupted yesterday, Tuesday, 10th October 2023, The House was considering the motion moved by the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2024 to 31st December. Honorable Minister. I'll read that again. Let's avoid movements. When business was interrupted yesterday, Tuesday, 10th October 2023, the House was considering the motion moved by the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024, together with the annual borrowing plan presented to the National Assembly in September 2023. And the Honorable Member for Pemba was debating. May the Honorable Member continue.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, yesterday I informed this August House that I toured all the 12 wards in my constituency with a view to get comments on subsidies, that is on fuel and electricity. Madam Speaker, the good people of Pemba constituency are very happy that the government decided to remove the subsidies on electricity and fuel. Of course, they are happy that after that the CDF has been enhanced. And the good people of Pemba constituency are saying they would rather have free education than having subsidy on fuel and electricity. The good people of Pemba constituency, they want desks in classes. Madam Speaker, the good people of Pemba constituency, they want classroom spaces to be constructed for them than having a subsidy on fuel and electricity. Madam Speaker, I did not end there. I've consulted the youths and women. Madam Speaker, the youths and women are saying they would rather have the youth and women empowerment so that they can boost their businesses. Madam Speaker, the councillors are happy that this government is going to increase their allowances instead of putting these monies on electricity and fuel subsidy. Madam Speaker, we are happy as good people of Pemba constituency that this government managed to employ 30,000, the money that was actually supposed to go to reduce or subsidize the fuel and electricity. Madam Speaker, because of the same benefits, this year the government will employ 4,500 teachers. Madam Speaker, because of the subsidy that we removed from electricity and fuel, we managed last year to employ over 11,000 health workers. Although that is not the end, Madam Speaker, this year alone, we are going to employ 4,000 health personnel. Madam Speaker, the Zambian people are saying, instead of fuel subsidy and electricity, it is better this government divert these resources to clearing the debt mountain left by PF. Madam Speaker, the civil servants are very happy that they are able to receive their salaries on time and not in arrears. Madam Speaker, this is what the Zambian people want to see instead of the fuel subsidy and electricity. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Order. Order, honorable members, we want this debate to flow. Let's not have a lot of points of order because you are disturbing even the people that are trying to catch what is being debated about in the House. So I'll get the last point of order so that we make progress. The honorable member from Pika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise on a very serious point of order. Of course, in accordance with the Standing Order number 65. Madam Speaker, the member of Parliament for Pemba, who has just wound up his debate, has made a very misleading statement that the Zambian people, the people who are suffering, have sent him to come and say they are very happy subsidies from fuel and electricity were removed. When the people out there, Madam Speaker, are calling and complaining on radio stations that this government introduces subsidies. Madam Speaker, is in order to come here and mock the Zambian people who are suffering. I seek your very serious ruling on this matter. He should not mock the Zambian people who are suffering. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you, honorable member. Honorable members, this is a debate. And we are all asked to debate the way we understand the budget. We can agree what colleagues are maybe mentioning, and we cannot agree. But our duty is to make sure that we indicate to debate and bring in our own ideas and views, especially when we are saying you've been sent by your people. So please come to this house with your own views. If the honorable member for Pemba has been sent by his people on an issue, it cannot be the same issue that can be existing in Mpika constituency. So honorable members, let us make sure that if we've got issues, let us indicate to debate. Let us represent our people. So the honorable member for Pemba has, I think he has finished. We move on to the left. The honorable member for Bufulira. Fortunately, I've got a list from the left. I don't have a list from the right. I'll be following what is appearing on the tablet. The honorable member from Mufulira.
Madam Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity to contribute to this motion of supply according to how I've read it and how I've seen it and how I've received comments, especially from the people that sent me to represent them here. Madam Speaker, when I was listening to this budget and as I was preparing to come and make my contribution, I looked at the budget for 2022. I also looked at the budget for 2023 in comparison with the budget for 2024. Madam Speaker, having this opportunity to compare the three budgets, the reason I wanted was to find out whether with the 2024 proposed budget, whether we are making progress or we are stagnant or indeed we are going backwards. And my conclusion, Madam Speaker, that with this budget for 2024, it is not making any progress for this country. It is actually leaving us stagnant. It is not talking about job creation. It has not explained adequately how it is going to ensure domestic food security. In fact, Madam Speaker, having compared these three budgets, my conclusion was that our colleagues as the UPND, all the ideas that they had during the campaigns in order to take this country forward ended with their budget for 2022. They offloaded everything they had in the 2022 budget. Madam Speaker, when the 2022 budget was presented in October of 2021, I went to the constituency, and I must confess that at that time, 2 years ago, people were excited with the first budget of this UPND government. They were looking forward, obviously, to this increased CDF, looking forward to those jobs that were announced. And working in the constituency, I would receive a lot of questions. But with this budget that was presented, Madam Speaker, immediately the budget was done on Friday. On Saturday, I was in the constituency. Spent the whole weekend there. Not even a single person approached me to find out anything new in this budget, because the budget is not speaking to the needs of the people on the ground. The budget is out of touch with the suffering of the people. This budget should have been about job creation. This budget should have been about reducing the prices of meal. This budget should have been about reducing the cost of living. But because it does not reflect what the people are expecting to see, how are their livelihoods going to be alleviated, this budget is clearly out of touch. Madam Speaker, given that people have not welcomed this budget, Madam Speaker, I would urge actually the Minister of Finance to seek leave of this House and withdraw this budget. Withdraw it and go and do a budget.
Honorable member, it does not work like that. Once a budget is presented, it cannot be withdrawn. So please, can you find issues that you can talk about? Rather than saying we have to withdraw the budget, we cannot withdraw this budget. You may continue.
Madam Speaker, a budget is supposed to be a solution to give inspiration to the people, but this budget does not come anywhere near closer to that. Madam Speaker, the minister says this economy is expected to grow at 4.8% next year, when this year it was projected to grow at 4.7 and downgraded to 2.7. Now next year, how are we going to achieve the 4.7 growth? The sectors have been identified. We are talking about manufacturing, we are talking about mining, talking about agriculture and tourism. But when you look at the policy statements that have been mentioned in this budget, nothing is speaking to the growth of the economy in these four sectors. My submission, Madam Speaker, because for me, I need a budget that will provide jobs. I need a budget that is going to ensure food security. My submission, Madam Speaker, is that, number one, with the high cost of living, this budget is silent about the conditions of service for the public workers. The earning capacity of the public workers has been eroded by the high cost of living. And in this budget, we expected to see how the conditions of service are going to be improved. But the civil servants there, Madam Speaker, listened to this budget from the beginning to the end, and there's nothing that is assuring them of high salaries. We don't expect 10% or 20% in order to cushion the high cost of living. This budget should have talked about increment in the conditions of service for the public workers, but they have been let down. Madam Speaker, we are talking about high prices of meal, increased cost of meal, shortage in terms of food. What this budget should have done was to revert to the FISIP and increase the fertilizer allocation to the members of the cooperatives. Before the new government, let me just say 2 years ago, each member of the cooperative was entitled to at least one pack, 3D compound, 3 urea. And we saw how food was abundant, how a bag of meal was costing at 115, 120 kwacha. But with the problem that we have seen now, that people are sharing fertilizer in medals, today we have a crisis of meal, we have a crisis of maize in the country. This budget was supposed to address that issue by increasing the fertilizer allocated to the farmers. People in Mufrira, Madam Speaker, don't have so much land to do their farming. There they depend on earning capacity to go and buy a bag of meal. Now, with 300 kwacha, how much money are they earning for them to be able to buy? So when the budget says they have changed the economic indicators of this country, yes, they have changed, but for the worse. Madam Speaker, we need to talk about mining. As everyone has been speaking, I'm very worried that we are giving KCM back to Vedanta, which is a company that is cash-strapped. Madam Speaker, Vedanta itself this year is struggling with $2 billion worth of debt. Next year, they have $3 billion worth of debt to deal with. As a holding company, how do we take KCM, which equally needs capital injection, to a company that is struggling itself? In Bemba, Madam Speaker, we say, "Ukulombo mutikumudwele." You are going to ask for medicine from a person who is equally sick. How do you expect any support? Madam Speaker, Vedanta has no hope for KCM.
Order, honorable member, your
I
time
submit,
is up.
Madam Speaker.
The honorable member for Zambezi East.
Madam Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity to debate the speech delivered by the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning on the floor of this House. Madam Speaker, I would like to describe the budget for 2024 as inspiring, in that it builds on what has been done so far in the past 2 years. Madam Speaker, each time the Minister of Finance has come to this House, I always look at the budget for much more information that will affect the lives of the people. And if everyone did that, I think we would be having this debate relevant, because what is contained therein is usually in line with what has been planned. If you take a close look at the budget speech, it actually gets the strength from our 8th National Development Plan, which was emphasized in the presidential speech. There is a connection. Honorable members, one thing you need to understand, and especially for those of you who are new members in this House, is that there is usually a connection between the budget, the president's speech, and the budget speech. So that's why you see even the events are following each other. The president's speech sets the tone in terms of policy direction. And you need to pay particular attention to the president's speech, because it speaks to what policies have been set by the regime that is actually ruling. And usually, if you want to have any arguments of these policies, look at the 8th National Development Plan. If what has been set as policies going forward is not found or cannot be traced to the 8th National Development Plan, then your arguments will hold water. But it's very, very clear and very consistent, and the Minister of Finance expressed it clearly here, that in line with the 8th National Development Plan, this budget will be anchored on the following. Check on page 6, I think, of his budget speech. On page 6 of his budget speech, I will itemize them one by one. Economic transformation and job creation, that's the target. Those are the objectives. 2, human and social development. 3, environmental sustainability. And 4, good governance, environment. These are the pillars on which this budget is anchored. And we need to look at each and every one of these around these pillars. Now, in terms of economic transformation and job creation, the minister went ahead to explain the performance of the previous year. How did we perform in terms of job creation and the economic transformation? One, we created jobs in the public sector. A number of our youths have gotten employed in civil service as military personnel, others as health workers, others as teachers, and many others have been employed. That is job creation, walking the talk. The other issue about economic transformation, I think the biggest problem we were facing in this country, especially coming from a reckless regime, was the debt burden. And the debt burden needed to be dealt with to create a conducive environment for economic transformation. And here is what we scored. We were able to deal with that debt burden as we arrived at a point where we are now able to manage our debt. We have reached an agreement, and we were able to even sign the IMF program. So this budget is anchored on this progress that we have made. Now that we have made this progress, we now need to sustain the economic development. How? One, we need to build this economy ourselves. How shall we do it? If you look at this budget, it is targeting improvement of the economy through the private sector, encouraging the private sector. The very CDF that you are receiving is part of the participation in production into this economy by the private sector. Your people in various constituencies, without exception, can now participate in the growth of this economy without segregation. And the whole country, 156 constituencies, are receiving resources from central government at the same time, equitably, without discriminating. These are serious milestones which need to be supported. Another issue that you can actually talk about is policies around now. If we are going to grow this economy locally here, we need to have mechanisms of contributing ourselves, contributing finances to the treasury. And one notable policy that I have seen is this issue of indirect taxes through mobile money transactions. You will not feel it. Nobody will feel it. It's a small, and that is one of the songs we have always sung. Can we broaden the tax base? This is broadening the tax base. How else do you broaden the tax base? I have not heard any suggestions from the left, Madam Speaker, suggesting alternatives of how we shall broaden the tax base. People just come up with a blanket statement, broadening the tax base. They don't even know how to broaden the tax base. Here we are, a particular one, very creative, broadening the tax base through mobile money transactions. It is such initiatives that improve revenue collection without you feeling it. And therefore, if you have anything to suggest, please bring it on the table on how we can broaden the tax base.
The Honorable Member for Zambezi East, the Honorable Member for Mpika. Can you please avoid debating while seated? I think we know the language that we are supposed to use when we are in agreement or in disagreement. We don't have to shout in whatever way we want. Let's observe the rules of the House, including the Honorable Member for Nakonde. The Honorable Member for Zambezi East, you may continue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Indeed, I've spoken enough about broadening the tax base, policies and initiatives of how we are going to finance this budget. Very clever ways of raising the money. And now, let me also talk a little bit about the policy around agriculture. Agriculture, I see, even as CDF can participate in contributing towards growth. I've seen an application in my constituency where they want us to build some camp houses offices in certain satellite places. That is how you grow an economy in a very decent way. And these plans were not there. But because they are used to these blanket statements, that's why we are where we were, where there was no proper plan, no roadmap to grow the economy. Here is a well-calculated and thought-out way of growing this economy. And Madam Speaker, these people must learn something from us going forward. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Order. Honorable members, let us not debate ourselves. Let us avoid debating ourselves, and let's also stick to the budget speech. I had ruled that there are no more points of order, so the responsibility is upon yourselves to make sure that whatever you are saying does not break our standing orders. Let us be very honest with our debates. Let's also put into consideration the standing orders. I had ruled that there are no points of order, so the ruling stands. The next member is the Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Yeah, thank you, Madam.
The Honorable Member for Rumezi, you've not been given the floor. No, Honorable Member, I've just explained that there are no more points of order. If it's life and death, please just jot it down. The Honorable Member for Nyimba, you may continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me contribute a bit on the
Order, honorable members. Now you are talking about shooting. That is very dangerous in this house. No, honorable member, you cannot threaten your colleagues in the house by saying that you can shoot. I think there are better avenues that you can resolve. Order, honorable member. Order. I think there are better ways of resolving whatever differences that we have. So, honorable member, please, can you find a better avenue of resolving whatever matter you have? And let's not try to scare our friends. Honorable member, I think I've guided on that one. The honorable member for Nyimba, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to request an extra 1 minute because my a minute is gone. Madam Speaker, let me contribute a bit on our budget speech presented by the Minister of Finance. I'll touch on things that affect my constituents and the country at large. Madam Speaker, let me start with agriculture. Madam Speaker, we have the potential as a country to produce over 3 million metric tons in this country so that we can help out the demand from other countries. Madam Speaker, the biggest problem which we have as a nation is that we like politicking where we shouldn't be politicking. Today, Madam Speaker, the money we spend on FISIP, it's over $300 million a year. But what we gain from that money is less than 11%. It's about 11%. Now, if you look at the wastage here, it's about 89%. Now, if you look at that wastage, if we were having that production, if we were getting about 70-80%, we could not be talking about high prices of Miu Miu. Today, Madam Speaker, it will be a dream for people to start thinking we'll bring back the bag of Miu Miu to 200 kwacha. It's not possible. So let the world, let Zambia face it that as the farmers, as the villagers, we appreciate the price has gone up for our maize. Because the money we spend, the labor we spend, we also deserve a decent life, just like our people in town deserve. So the issue of discussing on the lower prices, let's be factual, even from your people on the right, let them just face it, that these prices, we have increased the bag of maize. So how do we reduce the bag of maize? It will be expensive as it is. So let's face it. Madam Speaker, we have a problem here. The problem we have is that we have why do I say this, Madam Speaker? We have an affordable financing to this sector. Madam Speaker,
The worst part of it is the crop management policies, practices on these issues. Madam Speaker, here where we are, anyone who retires today as a politician, Madam Speaker, who dream to be a farmer, does he have the single knowledge of farming? Zero. They can't even employ the qualified personnel, but they want to be farmers. Madam Speaker, the nature of our education, I wish the Minister of Education was here. I would love, Madam Speaker, I would love to propose today that the curriculum development wing at the Ministry of Education should include agriculture as a mandatory subject from grade 1 to grade 12, so that we can start understanding. Madam Speaker, today, people will be given 6 bags of fertilizer. They'll go and cut a field worth 4 hectares and want to use 6 bags of fertilizer and 4 hectares. That is a wastage. No production will come out of that place. It will be wastage. Madam Speaker, let me also add on the issue to do with the mining sector. We have a country, Madam Speaker, where we only speak about copper. Whoever stands up thinks about copper. Madam Speaker, we're talking about 3 million tons of copper. That is, which is equivalent maybe to 400 metric tons of sugilite if we are to develop it. It will be maybe down if we're talking about lithium, Madam Speaker. We'll be talking about 200,000 tons of lithium to compare to the 3 million metric tons. So sometimes when I sleep, I just ask myself, who really wished us as a country? That we can just be looking at one product without looking at the other products. Madam Speaker, today we have emeralds in this country. They're being managed by foreigners. None of us here, seated here, none of us, even those with little knowledge of mining, they don't deal with emeralds. We've surrendered this particular mineral to the foreigners. What is wrong with us as a country? Madam Speaker, all successive governments, they have failed to deal with this issue. I wish God could come down and pray for us so that we stop doing these things. Madam Speaker, in addition to that, we have issues here to do with health. This country, Madam Speaker, the government of Zambia, managed by UPND, they have said we have phase 2 of 335 metric tons of, 335 new main hospitals. Madam Speaker, my colleagues from right, when they debate that we give these things equitably to everyone, I disagree. Out of 115 main hospitals, Madam Speaker, we have 16 districts in this country. Nimba received 0. We have today 135 main clinics to be built. If I ask on the plan, Madam Speaker, I find that Nimba is 0. So what are we talking about? My prayer is that can this come to an end and we start treating each and every person as equal, each and every district as part of this country. Madam Speaker, I also want to appreciate government for allocating 70 million for TABET schools. This is important. In my language, we say, we have a problem in this country, Madam Speaker, that we have failed to develop TABET schools, Madam Speaker. If your friend has worked, there's nothing you can do. On this one, Madam Speaker, this country, we left a gap. We produced engineers without TABET qualified personnel. How do you think you can manage a country? It's literally impossible. Germany, it is where it is today because of TABET. China, it is where it is today because of TABET. We brushed off and we thought we were going to succeed. No, we cannot. Things don't work like that. So, government, thank you for that. You've done well. Madam Speaker, when I look at CDF, it's something which will make this government, Madam, popular or unpopular. Today, Madam Speaker, if what to increase, if gradually we were releasing the money for CDF, people would have appreciated more than they are appreciating today. Madam Speaker, today as I'm talking to you, few constituencies have received more than 8 million kwacha, and we need to start moving. We have backlogs of development. Some districts and constituencies like mine, Madam Speaker, there is nothing to call development. And this, when it came in, we thought we are going to score on this. But Madam Speaker, we are trying now. We are limping on this issue. Madam Speaker, let me also add up on...
Honorable member, as the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for still watching Parliament Television. The House has just taken a 20-minute health break, and on the floor was Nimba Member of Parliament, Mr. Menyani Zulu, debating to the supply motion, a motion of 29 September 2023. This motion was moved by the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning, Honorable Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, urging that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024, together with the annual borrowing plan presented to the National Assembly in September 2023.
Yes, Tazawen business resumed at 14:30 hours. Madam First Deputy Speaker did make 3 announcements, and on the order paper, the House has so far considered 1 question for oral answer under Standing Order 76, and 3 questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74. And a private member's motion that was supposed to be moved by Bahati Member of Parliament, Mr. Livan Chiwombwe, has been deferred to a later date. And so far, that is business that has been considered on the floor of the House today, and we will be giving you details of the announcements and the questions for oral answer. Just now we go on a break. Remember, business of the House will resume at 17 hours. Keep watching Parliament Television. Good afternoon.
Democratic governance and human rights are critical components of sustainable development in any nation. It is for this reason that Zambia Congress for Trade Unions and some civil society organizations held a consultative meeting with selected members of parliament on promoting democratic governance and human rights. The consultative meeting took place at Parliament Buildings in Lusaka on 7th October 2023. National Assembly of Zambia Acting Principal Clerk Committees, Social Committees, Mrs. Doreen Mukwanka, in her welcoming remarks, encouraged everyone to participate in the meeting.
We are looking forward to whatever the Congress of Trade Unions has to offer us, and we are happy with this partnership and the recognition of the role that Parliament plays in the legislation process. I note that among the issues to be discussed are the Public Order Act, the Emoluments Commission Act, the Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes Act, and also the long awaited Access to Information Bill. So, honorable members, I encourage you to be lively, to be participatory, and to delve deeply into the issues surrounding these acts and see how they can improve the political scenario and the social scenario of our country. So once again, I wish to thank His Excellency and to welcome you and urge honorable members to participate. You are all welcome, and thank you.
And Zambia Congress of Trade Unions Secretary General Mr. Joy Bene reiterated trade unions and civil society organizations' commitment towards addressing various issues affecting the country.
You are our MPs because we come from your constituencies. And because we love you, we don't need to sit down and just look at things like that. Those we love, we quickly go and engage and tell them to see how best we can improve. Members of Parliament, again, the issue to do with information bill, the access to the information bill. For us, this bill is very important in ensuring accountability and transparency in the utilization of public resources. The other issue is to do with the ILO Convention or C-190. Zambia is in a democratic, of course, a democratic society. As much as there has been good trends in the line of democracy, we must together continue to uphold, promote a vibrant trade union and civil society, and a free press that is well informed and in full participation of society, political and economic life.
After the speeches, a presentation was done by Mr. Kalunga Sampa, a consultant who delved into the key issues of the meeting.
Restrictive internet laws in Zambia can undermine various aspects of citizens' and workers' rights, from freedom of expression to the ability to organize and access information. These restrictions can have far-reaching consequences for citizens and labor rights in our country. We are saying let us develop legislation that strikes a balance between security concerns and democratic freedoms and safety and security of our citizens, as well as their data or their information.
And after the presentation, the meeting went into a plenary session which accommodated MPs to express their views. Kanchibia Member of Parliament, Mr. Sunday Chanda, expressed his gratitude in a vote of thanks.
Allow me to, on behalf of the distinguished honorable members of Parliament, to thank the Zambia Congress of Trade Unions and the cooperating CSOs for this very important engagement. What we believe is that our legislative function as members of Parliament cannot be done in isolation of this sort of engagement. What is critical would be that we create for more time, Zambia Congress of Trade Unions and your cooperating partners in the CSO fraternity, to allow us have more robust engagement, less sharpen contradictions, let's agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, we know that would have done justice to the issues that have been raised today. Amongst them, the Constituency Development Fund, the Access to Information, the Public Order Act, the ILO C-190, the Emoluments Commission, etc.
With such meetings, there is no doubt that nurturing good governance is essential in ensuring sustainable development and respect for human rights.
My name is Honorable Dr. Christopher Kalila, MP, Member of Parliament for Lukulu East, Parliamentary Constituency. Lukulu East is in Western Province, approximately 700 to 750 kilometers westwards, and after Kaoma you go northwestwards. So Lukulu is one constituency and one district. According to the 2022 census of population, it's currently housing more than 96,000 inhabitants in terms of the population, and I must say that it's sparsely populated with roughly about 14 persons per square kilometer. So that's basically about the constituency. Most of the people suffer from chronic poverty, with poverty estimated somewhere around 85% of most of the people live below the poverty datum line. And also, according to the sub-national analysis report of 2019 from the Ministry of National Planning at the time, it is reported that extreme poverty stands at around 70%. So you can see that the main challenge obviously is chronic poverty in that constituency, being a typical rural constituency. So as a member of parliament there, I got elected in 2011 on the MMD ticket at the time, but I was not the first time to the National Assembly, having been there earlier as a nominated member of parliament from 2008 to 2011, and then in 2011 I contested the seat, and I've been in the National Assembly since then. So in short, I've been elected 3 times by the people of Lukulu, and then I've also been a nominated member once. So if you like, in the National Assembly, this is my 4th term. But in the constituency, it is my 3rd term. So I must say that I've been around for a while, and I wish to pay glowing tribute and gratitude to the people of Lukulu, who have always found me very useful to answer to the development challenges, to represent them here, to be able to participate in national political affairs at their behest. So I say thank you very much to them. Of course, in 2016 I made a switch from the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy and joined the United Party for National Development. So I've been a member of parliament of the UPND a 2nd time. I'm a family man, happily married to 1 wife, Nora, and we have 3 lovely children, 1 son and 2 daughters. Our youngest daughter is 17. She's just matriculated from Kapiri Technical Girls School with flying colors in all her 8 subjects. So basically, that is from my side as a family man. In terms of my professional and education background, I'm a medical doctor by profession, fully registered with the Medical Health and Professions Council, having graduated from the University of Zambia Medical School somewhere around 1993, did internship at the University Teaching Hospital, and left to join the private sector initially with Zambia State Insurance Corporation, who were running medical services at the time, and after that I went into private practice as a general practitioner on the Copper Belt until 2008, when I was called to national affairs by the late President Rupia Banda as a nominated member of parliament, and subsequently appointed as a deputy minister. I held 3 portfolios in that government, having Deputy Minister of Youth and Sports, and after a year I was transferred to the Ministry of Works and Supply, again for another year, and subsequently to the Ministry of Health, where I was Deputy Minister to Honorable Kapemba Simbao until the elections of 2011. So basically, that is to sum up exactly my political journey as well as my family life and professional background. From the time that I took over as a member of parliament in Lukulu East, I think many people attest to the fact that we have made tremendous improvements to the living conditions of our people, especially in the education sector and also especially in the health sector. When I took over the constituency, I think we only had probably 3 or 4 secondary schools. Today we are sitting with 20 secondary schools, and we are only second to Mongu, which is, as you know, is the provincial capital, and very soon we intend to surpass Mongu because of the fact that we now have the Constituency Development Fund. When I took over, I think we had probably not more than 8 health facilities, but today we have 25. 1 modern district hospital, we also have 1 mini hospital and 23 health centers. So I believe that the people of Lukulu, working through me, have made tremendous strides in the health sector, and they have also made tremendous slides in the education sector. Apart from that, when I took over, the entire district was not connected to the national electricity grid. But today, as I speak, the district is connected to the national electricity grid, and this has made life easier, particularly for our public institutions like our hospitals. Currently, we still have challenges in the water sector. The access to clean and safe drinking water is still very much a challenge. We have the biggest challenge, which is very well known even in this house, and also for those that are interested in the political affairs and development affairs of Lukulu. The biggest challenge is the Katunda Watopa Mumbeji Road. This is the main trunk road that cuts through 3 to 4 constituency. The bulk of it is in my constituency, Lukulu. I think if you were to ask anybody in Lukulu currently that what are the two most challenges that the people would like to be addressed, top on the list will be the road, this very Katunda Lukulu Watopa Road. Secondly is access to clean and safe drinking water. So, with the arrival of the Constituency Development Fund, we believe that the sky is the limit for us. We have used the entire 2022 mostly on building classroom blocks all over the constituency, mostly on building health facilities, mostly on sinking boreholes. We have also empowered communities with loans, we have empowered communities with grants, and we have actually exhausted the entire 2022 Constituency Development Fund. We have just finished expending the 2023 Constituency Development Fund, where we have given out all the loans, we've given out all the grants. We are just about to advertise finally for more classroom blocks, bridges, one mini hospital, and several other classroom blocks and health posts. So as I said, that although our journey, our march towards improving the socio-economic lives of our people started way back when I took over in 2008, the CDF has come to us like manna from heaven. We believe that we are now going to start sprinting. So in terms of water, we believe that being one of the biggest challenges, this is where we come in ourselves. So we have procured, or rather we are in the process of procuring a water drilling rig so that we are able to do it ourselves. So with the arrival, once the procurement process is over, I can only assure my people that challenges of water will be a thing of the past, because we'll be able to provide safe and clean water ourselves. If not on a village-to-village basis, we'll be able to do water reticulation in the entire district. Thereafter, we'll be able to hire out this machine to the surrounding constituencies and raise the extra revenue for the council. In terms of the road, obviously, it's a national
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. At the time, business was suspended at 1640 hours for a health break. On the floor of the House was Nyimba Member of Parliament, Mr. Minyani Zulu, who was debating to the motion of supply, a motion of 29th September 2023 that was moved by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024, together with the annual borrowing plan presented to the National Assembly in September 2023. And so we expect him to continue debating to this motion when business resumes.
Exactly, and earlier on we also did see Zambezi East Member of Parliament, Mr. Brian Kambita, debate to the supply motion. We also saw Mufdira Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Gordon Miller, debate to the supply motion, a motion of 29 September 2023.
Yes, Taza, and so any moment from now, we expect business of the House to resume, and we expect Nyimba Member of Parliament, Mr. Minyani Zulu, to continue with his debate on the motion of supply. Just now, we take you to the chamber. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You're still tuned in to Parliament Television, and so bells are ringing. It seems there's no quorum in the House. It is a requirement that 1/3 of members of Parliament must be present in the House for any business to transact. And at the time, business was suspended at 16:40 hours for a 20-minute health break. On the floor of the House was Nyimba Member of Parliament, Mr. Minyani Zulu, who was debating to the motion of supply, a motion of 29th September 2023 that was moved by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024, together with the annual borrowing plan presented to the National Assembly in September 2023. And so we expect Nyimba Member of Parliament, Mr. Minyani Zulu, to continue with his debate once the quorum has been formed.
And we did see other members of Parliament debate to the supply motion. Just now, we take you to the chamber.
When business was suspended, the House was considering the motion moved by the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2024, together with the annual borrowing plan presented to the National Assembly in September 2023. And the Honorable Member for Nyimba was concluding his debate. May the Honorable Member continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the other sector, it's transport and logistics. Madam Speaker, as a country, we are not doing much on this. We've left it for the foreigners to tackle the, to manage this sector. And this is not helping us as a country. In addition to that, Madam Speaker, in the interest, Mr. Speaker, in the interest of time, is that the tricycle and motorcycles removal of taxes, that's a good call, but we need to do more. This country used to assemble Land Rovers.
Order. Time is up. The Honorable Member for Usakire.